Again, this is all about the only truly what a quantum leap is it's a shift of identity. That's all it is. It's a shift of your identity.
Welcome to Wealth Embodied. Together, along with some amazing guests, we'll explore and tap into our innate abundance and have meaningful conversations about developing our ability to embody the vibration of wealth while also uncovering new ways to think, feel, and cultivate our relationship with money so we can live our lives wealthy and aligned. Let's welcome our host, Alara Sage.
Hello, and welcome to another episode of Wealth Embodied, where we activate and inspire you in your wealth consciousness, your visionary impact, and your creative genius. I'm your host, Alara Sage, and I help visionary entrepreneurs to scale, to move through those business barriers into wealth breakthroughs using quantum physics and ancient wisdom. And today I want to talk about imagination in quantum mechanics and learning how to use energy to scale is fundamental. You know, when we're little kids, we imagine a lot. We have imaginative play. I had so much imagination when I was a child, just naturally. And then what happens? Do we grow up? Are we told to grow up? Are we told that the imagination isn't important? That it's just imaginary, it's just imagination? Are we told to get our head out of the clouds? Perhaps. The other thing that happens is when we come out of 7 years of age, we start to come out of that first preliminary part of our childhood. Those first 7 years, our brainwaves are actually slower. And it's through those slower brainwaves that we are really absorbing our surroundings. Those slower brainwaves allow us to access different states of consciousness. And so imagination is very easeful. After 7 years of age, we slowly start to come out of that state. It doesn't mean, of course, that we can't imagine, but it definitely comes out of the forefront. But the truth is that our imagination is actually very powerful. And it's been proven with neuroscience that the brain actually can't tell the difference between what is being imagined and what is quote unquote real. A great example of this is how we oftentimes wake up from dreams and it was real, right? We were experiencing it very sensationally. This is actually to our benefit because when we understand the power of how our imagination and how our brain reads our imagination as real, we can actually use our imagination to quantum leap. We can use our imagination to start to see our world, our reality from our mind's eye through the art of imagination. So anytime that we scale, anytime we are going through a transformation in our life, in our business, the primary thing that kind of holds us back is this fear of the unknown. And our brains are wired to fear that unknown because, well, it's unknown. We don't know what's going to happen. So there's natural programs within our brain and within our nervous system that bring up flags of caution. Be caution, we don't know. You know, it's like you are walking through the dark. And this fear, even if it's not a felt fear, meaning the fear can exist in your subconscious mind, that doesn't mean that you feel fearful. And that's really important to understand because for the longest time, I actually didn't feel fear. And I just thought that I didn't really have it. The truth was that it was still there in my subconscious mind. I just wasn't feeling it. So that fear can self-sabotage our attempts to scale our business. It can self-sabotage our attempts to really become that next level self. And again, that's really actually there for protection. With imagination, what happens is that you start to imagine yourself in that life, in the version of you that has scaled your business to that point, imagining yourself in this next level for yourself, that next level of living, what that would look like for you, how your business would be running, everything that would show up for you as you were to quantum leap. We can use our imagination to take ourselves there. And what happens is that when we imagine that, we actually activate feelings, sensations within our body. And well, you can activate the feelings and sensations in your body. It's not necessarily a guarantee that you will, but you can do it. And once you activate those feelings and sensations in your body, you're actually triggering your biology to receive those signals as reality. So this is known at a cellular level, how our cells actually receive information from the signals. That means, our thoughts, our feelings, these signals that we are giving out with regards to our experience. So your cells they're always programming themselves regarding this information. And when you use your imagination, you are activating your emotions and the chemicals. It's a chemical reaction in your body. Emotions are. You're activating those chemicals in your body. And that chemical reaction is actually programming your cells in new belief structures. Then also what happens with the mind is that as you are experiencing this experience within your mind's eye, again, you are activating yourself in those emotions. And so what happens is the brain begins to interpret that is your reality. Very, very powerful. You can also continue that process through scripting, journaling, writing. Often movement helps as well. But imagination is really the fundamentals of this process of quantum physics and quantum leaping. So what we do is we imagine, what would it look like for you to have already accomplished that, right? And the key there is the already accomplished. You're putting yourself in the I am state. I am already this. I am already living this. So again, what this does is not only does it trigger you in those chemical reactions, like I mentioned, but it's also bringing this so-called future version of you into the present moment. It's important to understand that whatever you can imagine does exist for you, and therefore you can connect to it. But it exists simultaneously. There truly is no time. The expression of time is actually really the intention of it is memory, to be able to say, I once was a child and now I'm an adult, and this is what I have grown and learned through that. That's what time is. It's memory. But in the quantum field, it's all happening simultaneously. But what you're doing is you're activating this moment, this you in this body, in this incarnation, in that new version of yourself. So you bring that energy, that identity of yourself into the present moment. The more that you do this, the more your mind actually begins to identify with those visions and with those feelings. Again, we can further emphasize this with writing, scripting, journaling, and you always want to do all of that in the I am, in the present state. Again, this is all about truly what a quantum leap is it's a shift of identity. That's all it is. It's a shift of your identity. And that sounds very simple, but to shift our identity, it takes usually time and repetition. And so there's multiple different ways that you can shift your identity. One of them is, recognizing your habits and your patterns and your behaviors and starting to shift those. And that's also part of quantum leaping. But if you just did that, then it would take a certain amount of time to shift your identity. But with quantum leaping, what you're doing is you're energetically activating this version of you now in the vibratory state of that next version of yourself. So energetically, you are creating like a match. So you can think of this like a radio station. You're literally shifting radio stations, but what you're doing is you're like shifting into that new radio station right now. Instead of very slowly going from one radio station to the next, it's like you're just going right to that radio station, listening to that music, right? Filling your space up with that genre of music, with those sounds. And everything is energy. Actually, everything is wavelengths. And so as soon as we begin to use our imagination and activate our body and our mind in the next version of ourselves, whoever we are needing to become in order to scale our business, then what we are doing is we're, like I said, tuning right into that radio station. And this can really make the time that it takes for you to scale, make the time that it takes for you to shift your identity very much shorter and also easier. And the reason that it can be easier is because you are already identifying as that person. You begin to identify already. And that actually helps the mind to feel safe. So remember how I said that one of the primary reasons that we don't scale, or it takes us a long time to scale, or it's ineffective, is because of that fear of the unknown. But when you use your imagination and use these techniques, you're actually telling your mind, this is already, look what's happening, look where I am. And you're informing yourself, you're informing your mind of how it is. And so your mind becomes familiar with that. There is no more fear of unknown because it is now known. I hope that makes sense. So it's a very powerful practice. And definitely on my website under resources, I have several resources. One is Quantum Creation, where it talks about the steps of it. I also have the daily wealth activation, which is really about doing this every single day, setting up this, even a short routine that you do every single day that brings you into that imaginative state, tuning yourself to the next station that you desire to create, and really informing your mind and your cells at a biological level, hey, this is who I am. So who do you want to be? As always, thank you so much for being a part of the audience. And if you're ever curious about these modalities, definitely check out all my free resources. And I'm happy to support you if you're looking to scale, if you're looking to make a big transition in your business like this, because it's always some level of an identity shift, either depending on how big that jump is. It can be a little one or it can be a really big one. But it doesn't need to be something that's challenging or even scary or, full of doubt and worry. It can be something that actually feels really, really good. Until next time, much love.
Thank you for being a part of Wealth Embodied. As you experience each new day, we want you to feel that you are capable of tapping into your innate abundance and living your life wealthy and aligned. If you want to be invited to the next episode, just subscribe to our podcast. And if you need more information in the meantime, go to alarasage.com.